Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Superman and Lois. It was called Too Close to Home. And as it starts, there is apparently a crazy person in an RV driving through a huge raging forest fire. I guess he didn't get the memo soon enough that there was a fire and he needed to get out of the woods, so he was being a straggler and as such was in danger. So Superman had to catch a falling, burning tree to keep the RV from being crushed. But then he has to go off and help Lois, so he leaves Jordan in charge of the forest fire, but it turns out that Lois didn't really need much help. She just dropped a glass or something. The next day, Jordan and Jonathan seem to get into an argument over an article of clothing, and Clark has to run interference and tell them to knock it off. Sarah, meanwhile, has been crashing at her dad's and is avoiding Lana, but her dad, Kyle, says she should answer the call. Meanwhile, John finds out that Lois approached his sister from this Earth to try to prove that Mannheim killed the version of him from this Earth. And he's not happy about it because he doesn't want her dragged into it. Jonathan goes to see his girlfriend and confronts her dad about stealing the truck and gets his face punched. The general takes Jordan to get a haircut because he's been seen in photographs doing super stuff, and the general feels that his hair is an identifier. But Jordan doesn't want to get it cut, and he's kind of rude to his grandfather about it. Lois confronts Jonathan about the bruise on his face, but he doesn't want to tell her until Clark gets home and they make him tell. The general informs Superman that the DOD gave Mannheim his blood, which they had because they were trying to save his life back when he got hurt, which I don't understand why they would have done that, but that's what happened. Kyle talks with Sarah about what happened with her mother and explains how when she had tried to kill herself, it was Lana that was giving her CPR until the paramedics arrived, and who then did not leave her side until she came around. John Henry just straight up approaches his sister on the street and blurts out that he only looks like her brother, but he's not her brother. He's from a different world with no like lube or anything, just like raw. Just, hey, you. Oh, by the way, I know I look like your dead brother, but I'm not him. Really? Okay. We should preface that kind of a thing. Like, maybe wear some glasses, and a hat, and then kind of slowly, but no. Okay. Immediately after this, he's approached by some guys who say that their boss wants a word with him. Jonathan ends up having to come clean about who punched him, and so Lois drives both boys over there to see the guy without Clark, and she reads him the riot act, prompting him to threaten her with a gun because he's just that kind of dirtbag. When they get back home, Lois kind of collapses from fatigue. Clark, meanwhile, as Superman is shown where the DOD was storing his blood, and he laser eye beam burns it. John is taken to meet Mannheim, who apparently knows that he's been working with Superman. Sarah, Lana, and Kyle have a meeting and seem to smooth everything over. It turns out that Mannheim has abducted John's sister from this Earth, and he says he'll let her go if John backs off from whatever it is he's trying to do with Superman, and he says he's not going to. And he runs and jumps out the window as his suit comes up around him a la Iron Man, and he starts flying around looking for his sister. Clark, meanwhile, goes and gives the jackass what for without making it obvious that he's Superman, but it was pretty badass. John manages to find his sister in time and disarm the bomb that's on her, and then he goes back to visit Mannheim, who threatens his entire family unless John leaves him alone, so John flies off. Jonathan's girlfriend, whose name I guess is Candace, decides to stay with the Kents, seeing as her dad is such a jerk. Lois and Clark tell Jordan he has to apologize for how he treated his grandfather, and that if he wants to keep doing hero stuff, he needs to get the haircut. Instead, though, after he apologizes to his grandfather gives him a super suit that will also cover his hair. Lois decides to get cancer treatment at the hotel owned by Mannheim so that she can be in the middle of everything to facilitate his eventual taking down, I guess. And that's kind of where the episode ended. So, again, this show continues to be a really good drama show about family. And I've really come to appreciate the stories that focus on the kids, which wasn't the case in season 1. I was like, I literally don't care about the high school kids. I literally don't care, but they've developed those characters so well, and they've evolved those characters so well, and they've made them, into people that you care about and that are meaningful people on the show. So it's like, okay, now I do care about them. And so the whole cast is people that I care about. Like, I didn't like Kyle at the beginning. He was kind of an ass, but they've rounded him out in the last couple seasons and made him, a good guy, if not the best guy. And so you even care about him because, he's an earnest guy, even if he screws up. So it's just everybody on the show is worthwhile. All the characters have meaning. All their story arcs are meaningful. But it's a Superman show. There's none of them Superman. I don't know. It's funny because I looked at shows like, as I said this before, Andor and The Last of Us, and it wasn't a lot of actiony stuff. It was all drama stuff, and people were complaining. I was like, no, it's excellent. You guys don't know what you're talking about. But here I am saying, where's Superman? Where's the monsters? But I don't know. It's a good show. Without him, it's just kind of unfortunate because I don't know. It's a Superman show. Anyway, I enjoy it thoroughly. I just wish I could enjoy a little more Superman. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but there you go. There's not a lot to say about this episode. I don't know what Mannheim is up to, and it's not terribly intriguing to me. I'm glad they were a little softer on the cancer stuff this week because it was heavy before. So I don't know. We'll have to see. It was kind of wasn't a lot, that happened of significance. It's just a lot of dramatic scenes that make you feel for these people, but nothing really happened. But anyway, that's really all I have to say. It was okay, I guess, as an episode. I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back to review the next episode once it airs. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.